Welcome, everyone, to another Thursday's live show. I am joined by my intrepid co host, Laura the Explorer, and Dale the Monster, psychic surgeon. Now featuring soul auditing.
Hi, everybody.
How y'all doing today? You're muted, Dale.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, good to be here, Andrew. And we had a great show on Tuesday talking about auditing as well and soul surgery. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yes, and everyone to know I am suffering from a infected tooth and jaw, so my speech is a little weird right now. I've got a at one point had a golf ball size swelling in my cheek. I had a blocked salivary gland, and then the tooth went bad all at once. And next week I have to have some oral surgery done. And yes, I visit doctors, I visit dentists, and I advise all of you: if you ever get a tooth with an abscess, go get it done right away. Don't tough it out. Eh, with that being said, we saw some new advertisements. We've got a tour coming up, Laura. You want to share about the tour that's coming up in April?
Yeah, this is phenomenal because this is our fourth tour, I think, now in York with Combined Healing. We've extended this one because we have invited the Paranormal Rangers. They're the guys who have been on this show, Talking Stick, and we have a Paranormal Crossroad show as well on Wednesday evenings. I hope you guys have caught that. They are fabulous guys. Navajo Rangers. They were trained in the police academies and worked on the Navajo reservations, dealing with things like Bigfoot and so on. So if you haven't seen those guys, tune in and catch up. So we're hosting an event with them for 4 days during our combined healing. So we're going to start off with 2 days of haifu, which if you've been watching the shows, you'll remember that is like a feminine rejuvenation, intimate feminine rejuvenation, which is really vaginal tightening. And you get all the benefits that goes with having your vagina tightened, but we're making that into a sacred feminine package of 2 days. So you'll also get to do the combined. You can have the haifu treatment, and we will tailor it around sacred feminine meditations and so on. So you can go back feeling really rejuvenated and good about yourself as a woman. That's the first 2 days, the 18th and 19th of April. On the 20th, we welcome the Paranormal Rangers, Stan, John, and Michelle, and there'll be 2 day seminar where they will be training you on equipment, what's happened to them, training you how to become paranormal rangers with their own stories and experiences. And the next 2 days, they take you out in the field. And we have arranged deathly dark tours of York, a very professional husband and wife team who for 2 evenings will be escorting this private group with the paranormal rangers to the most haunted places in York. And on one evening, we'll spend it in one of the most haunted buildings in York, where you'll be able to try out the equipment. Now, the equipment comes free in this package. I think it's a body cam, tri-field camera.
Yeah, that's a body camera. A 4K body camera, just like the police officers use.
Yeah.
That's 4K audio and 4K video.
What else is it, Andrew?
A thermal camera.
Yeah.
One that you point at, it's like one like big electricians use. And it allows you to actually see the thermal heat signature of a space, a room, a body, a person, energies in motion. You'll get night vision goggles and a tri-field meter, a $700 value of technology included in the price of your coming to on their training seminar. That's right, you get the technology for free built into the training seminar,
which you can take home with you and you can use at home to look at orbs and
you can integrate it into your life.
Yes, incorporate it into your living the mystical life daily. And then after that, we were back on combined for 5 days, or 6 days even, till the Saturday, the 27th inclusive. And you will see we are doing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 day packages there. And the whole setup here is if you book both, you'll get a good discount. We're now also in a good hotel, the Mercure in York, so we can also get you deals at the hotel, so you don't have to concern yourself with anything. Get yourself to the hotel. We've got a driver. Rich will be doing the driving to and from Redmayne Lodge or wherever the paranormals need to go. So we've got all the transport set up, and you've got, if you book the hotel package too, you can have dinner, bed and breakfast, teas, coffees, lunch,
Yeah.
etc. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible and as cost effective for you. You'll find all this in the email. If you're on Andrew's emailing list, it's all there. There's also a link in the chat here. Have a look. Any questions at all, please email me, laura2feathers@gmail.com. Come and join us. We had a fantastic time last January. We're so excited and looking forward to this one. We've got new equipment and we've got Andrew with us, of course. We're taking on more practitioners, and it really is a fabulous growing business that's really helping people, and we get really great feedback from this. So look forward to seeing you there if you can come.
So everybody out there, please spread it around. Anybody that wants to get the paranormal training, get the healing, get the combined therapy and the paranormal training at the same time. Unique offers are coming to you if you guys are in the UK. And for those of you outside of the UK, tickets to the UK are very cheap right now, around $700. You don't see it that often. So look into your budgets, look into the concepts, come and visit us in York, UK. Personal invite to all of you. Now, Galactic History, the review. This is our 4th episode in review. Those other episodes, they were so packed full of stuff. And we see questions in the chat room already talking about how the person's already watched all 20 episodes and was watched it over and over again. Richard. I don't see it in this chat here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts from our last review before we go to the next one?
Well, that was only you and Dale, I think, last time, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. No, it was a time before.
Okay.
Last time was it me, you, and Andrew last time, wasn't it? And
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah. For me, it was about each time. So when we're doing this, and it's like the more layers added and the more bits you add to it, Andrew, and looking at your perspective from now, looking at your past self and how much you've changed and what you were like then, it's just fascinating. And for me, like Judith as well commented on one of the YouTube videos, she goes back every time she watches this show, she goes back and watches them all again. So there's a lot of people who just end up going back, and when I go back and listen to them again, I get new pieces of information all the time.
That's right, because we are ever expanding beings.
Yes.
And those shows were designed from spirit to be ever present in the present, no matter what era of history you're watching it in.
Yeah, so they're timeless.
Well, let's get started.
Yes.
Welcome back to part 4 with Lance White and Andrew Bartzis. We're rediscovering our galactic history, and I do believe we left off with the audit that Prime Creator had established, and that was in
March 2013, the 20th to 22nd.
Okay. And so we can pick up from that.
So they try to use CERN to fudge the numbers. Beings got ejected from the game. Think of it in soccer, you're getting a red card. They broke the most fundamental of rules, even though rules are broken here all the time. The most fundamental ones they broke.
Yeah.
They got ejected from the Galactic Ascension machine and do not get to be a part of the graduating timeline. This is both light and dark beings got ejected because they were both doing nefarious things to alter Prime Creator's will because they had been experiencing the polarity of light and dark with no neutrality for so long that they had lost their own way. Okay?
Right.
So the light beings are ejected, the dark beings are ejected. At this point, Prime Creator used what's known as the walking rule. So those that got ejected, new souls were put into their bodies and took over all of their existing contracts and timeline functions that they did.
Ah.
So that's the first replacement of management system.
Wow.
The second layer of replacement management system is after the timeout is over, new beings that are part of this contractual system of domination and control are going to be replaced with neutral beings who have no political objectives, no dogmas, no spiritual concept, that simply see the information, and the resolve is putting us as a species in a complete soul code.
Oh, great.
The Galactic Ascension machine has always been about taking the 2,300 species that have been warring over this planet and creating drama and make them into a single species, and when that's done, they go back out to those races and bring the DNA wisdom that they've all been trying to hoard for themselves.
Right. That makes sense.
That resulted. That's why they put all these planets here.
Yeah. Now, how many planets are here? And
66.
66. And why is it that we're told there are 12?
Because that's what the books are creating the reality for.
So,
as I said, there have been there's star watching societies out here. I mean, you look at some of the old Sumerian texts. They knew about Venus. They knew about Mars. They knew about them all.
Oh, yeah.
They even knew what colors they were, what water was on them, or not. They did that because they could remote experience those planets as star watching societies.
Interesting. Now, what about this, the scientific group that's trying to create an event horizon where artificial intelligence overtakes human intelligence? That sounds like another faction of these warring interests.
It's a reemergence of what took Atlantis and Lemuria down. It's always been the technology that was passed from one generation to the next that created the failures of the society. The society isn't balanced between light, dark, and neutral.
Right.
There's an overwhelming amount of lower vibration people in domination and control that are using the technology given to them that have enough free will to realize that they can become very powerful with the simplest of technologies, like time travel technology. I've been talking a lot about these time wars to understand that everything for the last 52 million years has literally been about 2011 to 2014. Absolutely everything.
Wow.
Okay, the air cities jumping through, it's always been about the point where, think of a record, you start on the outside and you go groove to groove to groove, and that's going around the galactic central sun. And when we get to the final part, the needle gets lifted up, the arm gets put back, and we start all over again. Okay?
Yeah.
The timeline wars. In the early 1900s, when Industrial Revolution really hit, is when the time travel factions began to co-opt the governments on the largest scale. You have a military budget, and that military budget has multiple projects underneath it. Those projects have black projects, deep black projects, so on and so forth. Time travel entities knew that this would happen,
Right.
so they inserted organizations into the fundamental findings of these military organizations so that they could have budget to create black technology, even though the Congress and the Senate never knew that this technology was already working. So
Right.
every decade they'd have somebody else that came from the future back into the old timeline, in the early 1900, 1920, 20, 30, 40, to make sure that the money was appropriated and the technology was available to send people forward and backwards in time on that graduating timeline, while still creating tens of thousand fake timelines to cover up what they were doing to get the money to do it now.
Wow. Wow. So how many fake? Well, have the timelines been collapsed at this point?
All the timelines are on since June 2011. We're
All right, what did you guys notice about that beginning?
As in what way? In what way? Notice about what? Sorry.
I'm asking you to be observational.
Yes.
What did you notice?
so the audit. So a question about this: has the Prime Creator done any more audits since the one was done back then in 2012? Was it, or 2013? There's been another audit? Andrew, you are.
Hello.
It broke up, Andrew.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
So no, he didn't need to do
brilliant.
a second. He only needed to do one audit.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything was understood from that one audit, all the potentialities of the infinite potentials. All right.
Okay.
So you didn't notice how fast I was talking, or did you?
I did. You were talking faster than you normally do. Yeah, in quite a high. Yeah.
Yes, because I was setting up an energy wave that I took from the end of the last show. So here's some little background. All of you that have watched these back to back to back to back to back, there is this ebb and flow, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. And I'm drawing back to the very first word I said from the very beginning, and I'm putting it in front of this episode. And it's going further and further. It's like we're at what, minute 5? I don't know. We're at like, I don't remember. We're at like minute 5 or minute 7 of the video, something like that. And the wave has reached halfway through the videos into the future already. And it's what affects people who watch these multiple times. And there are ways for you to catch the trigger points a second, a third, and a fourth time in case you've missed them over and over again.
Well, so you pre-planned doing that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you done that on every episode?
Yes, all of those episodes, and many of my live radio shows, I've done that too.
Right. So you take a key point, say like the audit. Prime
it's think of it as a strategy that's coming from the precognitive workforce that is being implemented in the now, because it is a now-based frequency time show. It was not meant to be a past thing. You're trying to literally make it a no time, a full no time archival video.
Yeah, which was done 10 years ago at least, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Almost 11 years ago in June.
Yeah. And yet it still is a no time.
Yes, still relevant to today. Even though you hear it's targeting 2011 to 2014, and you don't hear me talk too much what happens after, it's because we won.
Yay! Woo!
We'll go home then.
We've broken the record, starting over. We are in new territory.
Yes.
New grooves have been revealed.
When did we do that? When did we come off that old record?
Right after the audit.
Oh, okay. And yet, hold on, this was filmed in 2013 and the audit took place in 2013.
2014.
2014, okay.
August 2014.
Okay. Wow.
That's right. No new paradox. Yes, we are on open territory. There could be things on the territory we haven't foreseen in the infinite point of view, but right now we're not in the repetition again.
Okay, but we're still in the groove because we're still...
Technically, we're on B side of the record.
Okay.
It flipped over.
Yeah. So what happens this time when we get to the end?
I don't know. I don't know the rest of the song. Do you?
The great mystery.
Listening to it for the first time.
Yeah.
So we've got there's 3 timelines, isn't there? So there's the ancestral, this one, and the animal timeline. I think I remember you talking about that before. Is that that's still relevant?
Yeah, they're all part of the sub timelines of surface, subsurface, and astral.
Okay. And what's going on with, like, is there still time traveler kind of karmic offenders And is it harder for them to do it now? Like do what they did
Very,
before?
very, very difficult for them to do it now.
Okay,
Everything is
yeah.
a massive smuggling operation when it comes to time-based warfare and attacks right now. Because
Okay.
everything's got its counter frequencies and counter frequencies after that.
Well, so they're not able to set up as many black projects as before.
No, they have enough money now to do it. That was the other thing, is that big reveal right there. As I was telling you, the infrastructural setup of how the post World War II era technological boom took off, because all of the infrastructure was there before World War II. Okay.
Yeah.
So, a question from the chat: did the audit change the functionality of the yellow box technologies? Yes, it did. It made them not work together anymore.
Oh, so that was deliberate on behalf
Yes.
of Prime Creator.
Yep.
Why did he not want? Why were they not wanting to be worked all together as they were? Because
Because then they don't have the power, the predictive power that they would have over everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. They got to choose which prediction model to use.
Okay.
And what happens if they fuck up and choose the wrong prediction model at a very important time, like right now?
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, that's true, Ros. Did you read what Ros put about when humanity awakened? There are so many demonstrations, mostly farmers.
Yep.
That's your pitchfork metaphor.
There's my pitchfork, yes.
Yeah.
Literally, except
Yeah,
it's
it is literally, isn't it?
a bunch of tractors clogging freeways and roads everywhere.
Yeah.
So with all these potentials, Andrew, so there's a potential for us to fuck it up.
Sure, it's a song you've never heard. Hey, you may not like the song coming.
Yeah.
Okay? Why I don't like this rap line? Why is this a rap line in here now? Where they go classical. Oh, well, it should be rock. Everyone's gonna be their own connoisseur or denier, okay, of the music coming.
So, how well infiltrated are the neutral beings that came in as the walk-ins in the banking system and so on?
All right, so let me clarify. It was about 700 million walk-ins happened at that time. That's almost a fifth of the one-seventh of the population. Actually, one ninth if you do the math. 1/9 of the world population were walk-ins. So the majority of the multidimensional beings who had bodies with aspects in it no longer had bodies with aspects in it. There is the reduction of power because those multidimensional 15 multidimensional beings that were reduced no longer had their body influencing power on the surface. They were greatly reduced. Now, to answer the question, how many of them have been influenced to go to the negative? Not very many of them. The vast majority of them are free market mercenaries, which makes them the greatest tool for freedom out there. That means they have to spend surface money to guarantee loyalty that isn't guaranteed by a mercenary. Whoever's got the most money is going to get them.
Yeah. But they were supposed to come in as neutral, though, weren't they? Unagendered.
Sure. But they still had to take over the existing contracts of the person they took over.
Ah, okay. Right.
With new contracts that gave them potentiality to make choices that could end the old contracts and make new ones.
Mm. So did that... Go on, Dale.
So there was a moment in one of my medicine journeys when I had the founder being journey. It felt like as I was traveling and seeing, and they were showing me many different things. So it got to the state where they've done what they can do. It's now just up to us to do that last part of the next stage, if you get what I mean. We have to, like you say, what you've talked about, Andrew, is take it out their cold, dead hands. That's the next level, is it, for actually the actual changes for us, if you get what I'm saying. Okay.
to continue the metaphor I started, we've got to enjoy the music.
Yes, yes.
Okay? We got to get back to being in our bodies, grounded, strong, connected, and interconnected, so we can begin to take the power out of their cold, dead hands. Now,
Yes.
this will not be remote teams thinking they can, remote light worker teams thinking they can clear the pyramid. Okay? This will not be a lone light worker walking into the Vatican thinking they can kill all the demons. It's not that. Okay? Taking the power out of their cold dead hands is stopping them from having ability to manipulate us. Us seeing what they're doing to the government, the media, seeing through the lies, and creating our own journey separate of them.
Andrew, can you describe what a single species would look like? Would that be having all the soul codes?
Technically, we are that single species united with a bunch of refugee species who conglomerate all the soul codes, and then there will be diversified offsprings who will then master many of the soul code.
So, did you say at some point we would get the skin suit and the technology would allow us to get all of the experiences shared on this planet, even
It's
if
already in you. It's just not unlocked by your ability of use of free will, your ability to stay grounded, your ability to stay healed, your ability to have natural living. It's just not able to come through yet.
Okay, yeah,
It's
yeah,
already there, though.
cool.
It's like luggage you've never opened, but take
Yes,
with you everywhere you go.
yeah.
So Richard's asking, is the prime creator a collective?
No, it's a single being, but there are more than one prime creators in our universe.
Mm-hmm.
And not all of them belong to a collective.
And Paulok, how did the audit impact the secret space programs and maybe the DNA harvesting objectives?
All right, Joel, can you boot that Jesus lover out of the chat room? That's getting annoying. Anyways, we got a Jesus freak.
Well, it could have been something else, I suppose. There we go.
Yes, it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. No Jesus questions. No Jesus questions, as Andrew said many times.
From Paula, what was the audit impact of the beings in the timeline fallout shelters? There were many beings in the timeline fallout shelters who had been there since the first fall of Lemuria and never came out. And they went off into a very deep 15th dimensional space, kind of on the journey that the follower beings did, but they went a whole different direction. And the audit gave them a way back to their original bodies so they can transcend out of their bodies and make it the right direction towards where the founder beings had gone in trans-universal space. Or they could choose to awaken here and finish their unique aspect of the journey here about the grander awakening with some of the very high level angelic beings that are operating the galactic ascension machine.
So both Atlantis and Lemuria destroyed themselves through the AI going into the wrong hands, yeah? Is that some of the reason?
No. Remember, they were broken. One was high technology and one was no technology. They kind of split their societies, and then their societies would be connected by who chose both paths and try to unite them. What ended up happening is lots of lower density beings, as part of the incarnation wars, forced their way onto the surface of the world. Last episode, we talked about the spiritual invasion, in which thousands of other worlds who were jealous of what was going on here sent many of their third and fourth dimensional higher quality souls on an actual invasion journey here to outbreed the surface with lower density beings. And that's what ultimately tipped the scales here. where I even said in the episode they were under a form of domination and control because they were a lower density being. And many of the higher density beings in the world had no choice but to put them in a format of control, or they would have made the whole reality go out of control.
So have we reached that level of Atlantean technology here, even if it's hidden?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Not even secret government stuff hasn't reached that.
Some of it has. Some of it has. But it's not widespread enough amongst common consciousness for it to make a impact. Remember, we're still waking. The majority of those high groups are breakaway civilizations. They're not a part of our civilization. They're a manipulator of this civilization. And until there's such a time there's a uniting of the breakaway civilizations, or the breakaway civilizations lose their strength and power over here.
Should people be concerned about weaponized chemtrails, and what is the alien involvement in that agenda?
Chemtrails ended in 2017. I've said that over and over again. The negative aspect of
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, from Felipe. Can you expand on the concept that no one leaves till we all leave? Everybody who's passed is still in some way on our planet and can't leave away. Well, your avatar, your main incarnating aspect of you, was entangled in the Galactic Ascension machine. That means the main part of your soul that manages thousands of your incarnations has to be here. But you can incarnate outside of the Galactic Ascension machine. It just means you have a very difficult time working with your higher self in those other realms. You have to be very highly advanced, and it's very difficult to get to the strength of the avatar. But the avatar knows it can make sovereign parts of itself all over the galaxy and multiple universes, and they will survive and thrive because there's a very good aspect to the universe out there that takes on those parts and trains them to be a sovereign aspect. And when the Galactic Ascension machine finally closes and the main avatars can go and recover all their pieces, parts, and look around and see who's done what, there's a whole new field of expansion for all those parts that have been stuck here who now get to explore out there.
But isn't it the avatar's own free will to be in that?
It's chosen to be here. It's chosen to be.
Yeah.
It's just us as individual aspects don't understand why doesn't it leave. No, it chose.
Yeah.
It's part of the spiritual contract to end the negative time travel wars, meaning the avatar, the main holder of the spiritual debt of mass time travel issues, has to be here to solve it.
Okay. And it wanted to be here at the time of the Great Awakening and remembering.
Yes. And have parts of itself in many different levels of dimensions to experience it fully. Did the audit of the impact DNA skin suits on not living? Yes, it had major impacts on other aspects of us and other worlds, and other worlds who will have interactions with us. Because every motion, everything that, remember, there was no graduating timeline. The audit literally forced a graduating timeline, which means the pipeline started to move a little bit. Even if one train car moved forward 1,000 meters on a 10,000-mile journey, the 1,000 meters has begun.
And Prime Creator had to force that.
Yes.
That timeline, didn't he?
Yep. It had to collect everyone with a bunch of red cards and eject them for breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So what would happen to those like karmic offenders who are not here anymore, who have polluted this world and galaxy? Will there be a time where they'll have to be brought back?
Many of them already went to their variety of galactic courts and got dealt with. And there were others that the Prime Creator just put them to the middle of nowhere with nothing, with nothingness to deal with. Waiting for what? The occurrence here so that we can forgive them.
Yeah.
Okay? There is a huge forgiveness journey coming, and that's why this part of the awakening journey is so slow. A lot of us aren't ready to forgive what happened here. We're still barely understanding what happened here, let alone ready to forgive some of the most shittiest beings out there. Forgive does not mean forget, though.
Yeah.
Forgive does not mean there will not become a punishment afterwards. Okay?
And I suppose we're still all carrying collective trauma from like Atlantis and so on,
Sure.
which has to be worked through.
Part of the remembering is healing that energy. Okay? All right, let's continue on with the video.
On a single timeline. Though we as the manifesting co-creating spirits can create new timelines. Think of it if you have an arm cut off. Okay? We still feel that arm, called ghost limb syndrome.
Yeah.
If you were born into a world that had 300,000 timelines, even though you were never aware of it,
Right.
and it's all of a sudden gone, it's still part of you.
Yeah.
And you can dream it back.
Ugh.
So that's what these vessels in our the sylphs, the cloud ships, they're here to stop us from creating these ghost timelines again.
Ah, okay. Okay, that sounds interesting. So now, all these black budgets are still going on.
Correct. And there's a massive black side to money. And
Oh,
what
right,
we're going
right.
through right now, all the stock market drops, they have to take money out of the black side and give it to the 3D matrix side and not disclose where it came from.
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
I've described this many times. This event will be like a Three Stooges show. It'll be the
Okay.
dress will go up and the underpants will be shown over and over again. It'll be slapstick how they're trying to cover it up.
Wow.
Okay.
So this is all coming. I
Yeah.
mean, we have yet to,
We haven't yet to even experience the really humorous parts.
Right, it's all been pretty
Okay.
drudgy at this point, and pretty dense. But the funny part seems like they are just around the corner.
Yeah, and it'll be in waves,
Okay.
and then consciousness will relax. It's just like
Right.
waves of laughter that's come over and over again, and it'll come through unity consciousness.
Well, now, what happened with so the Pope just resigned, and there are all these prophecies about this Pope that's presently in office being the last one, that somehow they're just going to give up the ship. Is there any truth to the fall of the Vatican and the religions and the banking system? What's going on with that?
They have to be affected. The exchange for value monetary systems, when we had gold backing our system, the energy of consciousness for exchange for value was represented in the gold. So the gold held the consciousness of the exchange for value. When gold was removed and went to a fiat money system, the consciousness reverted to numbers on paper, then numbers in a digital system, then numbers in a server, then numbers into a mass exchange server, which just completed the hijacking of the exchange for value system till all of your energy is held on the servers that create fiat money out of nowhere.
Right.
And that's how they tax you of your energy completely, because they're in sole contract to them through the banking systems.
Right.
Now I've created a banking revocation, contract revocation, a government revocation, and a media. When it comes to banking, they are based off of family crests that have been hijacked over the thousands of years. And those people have been in domination and control for so long, they've lost their free will. All they can do is follow orders. They're minions.
Wow.
Just minions.
Okay.
Now, when you're working at someone at the Rothschild level, the Queen level, they have free will to stay in domination and control. They don't have free will to break the contracts because they literally are the holders of those contracts representations here on Earth. So walk-ins would have to go in them and take over those contracts. Who are you going to get to do that? It has to be the best of the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
The Galactic Shock Troops that are risking their own life to come in and do that.
So that's part of the plan that's coming up, is the walk-ins.
The walk-ins to take over the management system that's holding the contracts.
Which is the Royals and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers
Popes
and
the
Popes,
the,
right?
the Cardinals.
And
Now
then the
for
Black Pope.
Okay,
And,
as for the direct question on the current Pope, I don't believe he's anybody but who he was in Brazil. I believe that he, as a person, and from reading his Akashic record, is being given a free will choice to choose light or dark or gray. And he has a window of opportunity between now and the end of the year to make that choice and put real effects to change the concept of the church one step at a time. The church needs a reformation. Churches go through reformations all the time, and it's not the end of the church. The church in some way, shape, or form will survive because it has faithful people and good people in it.
Right,
Okay?
that's right.
And then there are the ones that are just there for tradition. And the ones that are for their tradition are transitory spirits anyway, not really in spirituality, but in the tradition. And as the church goes through its reformation, you'll take care of the pedophilia, you'll take care of the banking issues, you'll take care of the corruption within inside of it, the nepotism. Every government has it. And a religion at that level is a government. It isn't a religion.
Oh, absolutely.
The power will be returned to local parishes. And the local parish priests will once again serve their community in faith, not in service to a government organization that says it's this way or you're excommunicated.
Right, right. Now, what happens to all the secrets that the Vatican has kept for these?
That's the big thing.
I mean, there's a lot
There's whole libraries that were created propaganda-wise. So if they were ever forced to reveal, they could reveal the fake library, which means that they could come back into existence later, or the fake propaganda. The thing is, will that Pope release the real library? And where is the real library? It's actually out of phase of reality right now. Like much of the alien technology, the good guys, there's 5,283 separate spaces in Unity enforcing a quarantine here.
Okay.
Well, the technology that they've been trading human DNA or human people for is to create out-of-phase realities around defensive systems, around special structures, so that they can't be teleported away by the big ships. Like, a lot of the missile systems that we have have been completely inoperable. A lot of the TR-3B triangle ships have actually been removed. Just they go into the base and they're gone.
Wow.
Okay. A lot of the deep underground bases have been completely emptied out of all negative technologies.
Huh.
But they ultimately knew that would happen. So they created mass amounts of technological systems that keep the vital, you're held hostage because we have ending the world weaponry here out of phase. And they can't find them.
Okay.
And the true Vatican library is out of phase. No one knows where it's at, except for the sole contract holding people in the Vatican.
Wow.
But there's other libraries. It's not just the Vatican. You see, that's another psyop.
Right.
Chinese have one.
Russians.
Japanese have one. The Russians have one. The Australians have one. They all have one.
Okay.
And that's a Akashic record that's stored in crystal, that's in the neutral perspective, written by people of those times that were perceiving the future.
So the truth can be brought out.
Absolutely.
No matter who holds the books and hides them and has them out of sync and out of phase.
Correct.
Because the original Akashic records can't be destroyed.
No.
And
they can never be altered. They can be redacted, which there's a black line over them.
Now, how does that occur?
A soul will purposely redact part of its Akashic records, so when the scanning system is looking at you in the birth process, it goes over those black lines because there's just weird data that it doesn't understand. It's an artificial intelligence, and that artificial intelligence makes a report and sends it to someone in the next layer and the next layer, and they have to determine. If they don't know what that really means, it just means something crazy was happening during the Akashic record at that time. So they just go on to the next because there's a lot of billions of people in here.
Right.
So they do it as a camouflage system.
Okay.
Other times it's done to people, so, example, you or somebody else, if a being were to block out part of it, it means it gains sovereign will over you. It's dominated you at one point, that you gave up your free will long enough for it to erase parts of you so that you can be stuck into a reincarnation process.
Right.
And that means when you die, you only spend a few hours in the astral world, get your life review, and then get kicked in the butt and you're back in. No chance to fix your contracts. No chance because that redaction is there.
Right, that makes sense. And so that's why so many people are just
Stuck.
Yes, we're absolutely stuck. And the incarnational process is pretty much run by artificial intelligence and...
The archons determine who gets to immigrate and who gets to become babies. That's the most important job that they do.
Okay.
They're the ones that determine if a high vibration soul gets in or not. There are backdoor ways into Earth, and I came in through a broken rules contract.
Okay.
I used their system of broken rules to be here. Beat them at their own game. Many others have figured out the backdoor way in.
Okay.
And this is where the archons in the 80s were really trying to take out the indigo and the crystal children That's why we have autistic children. That's why we have vaccines that are taking children down. It's because there's a big hole that they're getting, and you got to start plugging it up somehow.
Now, where do the archons reside in terms of
The astral worlds.
In the astral worlds,
They hold a court, and that court determines immigration status. That's essentially all that it does.
Now they're not the natural inheritors of the incarnational process, which is supposed to be organic,
Which is supposed to be the Earth Mother's sentience.
right? So
With air cities interacting in the North Pole inner dream time.
okay,
But there are no air cities up there anymore.
in the North Pole.
No. There's just Dreamtime realities that's part of Earth. They've limited Earth's consciousness by forcing low vibration souls in here for so long. While it's been going through denser and denser, Earth has little choice but to allow that to happen. It has to have life on it, has to nurture life, even if it's low vibration. So they knew how a planet would grow and ascend and descend. They knew all of this, and they're using that to their best of advantage.
And how long have the archons been affecting in the play? If this goes back 52 million years.
Well, 490,000 years ago is essentially when the Galactic Expansion Machine was set up so that they could resolve the 66 prime lines of drama.
Okay.
They came in about 385,000 years ago.
Okay.
And that's after the neutral guys were kicked out. They needed a system of entities that had the God mind but were still in control.
Oh.
That there was a sentience still control of them, and the God mind inside those archons would never know it. Many of the archons were just high vibrational beings that were captured in other domination and control planets, taken to technological centers, had their bodies removed, their vibration rapidly raised with energy until they're experiencing the unity consciousness of an artificial intelligence that's telling them they're God. Then they're compacted into a little ball of energy and shot across space, smack into our astral realm, and are force incarnated.
Wow.
They then wake up at 2 years of age and say, I'm a god.
Wow.
And then they go out and become a god, and when they finally lose their physical body, they're brought into the astral world and they say, I'm a god. And then the system of domination and control puts them into the court system that allows them to stamp your immigration.
Wow.
And that's where they insert fine print into your contracts. To get into Earth, there's a line of people waiting, quite literally a line.
Okay.
And there's a council of 52 archons over there that read your spiritual contracts and get to put fine print in there because they're looking at who you're looking for, your mother, your father, your daughters, who's your first grade teacher, who's your first love, who's your first divorce, who's your 11th divorce, so on.
Right.
And they're putting fine print in there to give you negative habit patterns so you never get into your mind and claim your sovereignty.
Right. So they're giving you patterns like addictions and the whole
Bad relationships, so on, the whole gamut.
dysfunctional parents, pedophilia, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Okay. Are they? What's their level of sentience? I mean,
Most of them are in the fifth. I don't like using raw terms because they're not really accurate to our linguistics, not putting the work down. The linguistics that we function with is limited. We just can't explain in terms. But to relate for the other lightworkers community out there, of the 52 archons that are overseeing the immigration court, the vast majority are in 4th density, 5th density, or 7th dimensional. They're pretty powerful. But they were forced to that level, and they can't stay there. So after a while, an archon will literally fade out. It can't be in this reality anymore, and a new one will be brought in to replace it. So they do have a limit, a fuse.
Huh, interesting. And then they're below the 15, obviously.
Correct.
They've been running the show.
They're being
co-opted and manipulated.
They're being hive mind manipulated by them.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that gave them the God sense, the God concept.
Yeah.
But even gods have a conscience.
Huh.
The little whisper in their voice, the whisper in their mind.
Huh. So are they considered, I mean, are there good archons?
No, there are good archons. There are ones that have switched sides.
Okay.
Many of them were taken out and not allowed into the immigration court, but they're the ones that revealed the back doors. They're the ones that said, I can't do this anymore. My homeworld was freed 1,000,000 years ago and I can't get back to it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So they do. I mean, we have to forgive a lot of them. We really do.
Yeah.
There has to be forgiveness on a pretty grand scale. And then there were those that simply cannot be forgiven.
Like?
The 15 multidimensional beings.
Yes, thank you.
And some of their grand servants and their grand creators that they had underneath them. You know, dealing with those people is not going to be easy. When we come to the point where arresting, is it really going to be arresting in a court system that's considered corrupt? No.
No.
It'll be on a spiritual court. And I call these spiritual courts of equity, where their entire history is read out loud in a neutral perspective for everyone to understand this being has done this. And then everyone that listens said, oh my God, that one guy made sure that there were pedophilia rings for the last 5,000 years.
Right.
He will be taken in the spiritual court of equity and brought to the galactic central sun for recyclement.
Now, is that a place where the second death occurs? In other words, you
spiritual
are
recyclement.
Yeah. Okay. So you can be undone. God, somebody that's been playing God for all those millions of years can be unmade and put back into source material.
Correct.
And that is the second death, and that's what they probably
fear.
Yes, that could happen.
And that fear is what's turning some of these Archon beings not fully dark, where they're starting to touch what I call the warrior of twilight status. Where they're good, but still evil. And they're playing both sides.
Yeah.
And their whole purpose of playing both sides is they know the light is deep into polarity and the dark is deep into polarity.
Yeah.
And if they keep playing them, more and more of them will get turned into walk-ins.
Is that something that they want to have?
Yeah, because they want off.
They want out.
They want out.
Right.
They're
probably bored with the whole thing too.
Well, more than just bored, stuck.
Yes, where everyone is stuck. Everyone is literally stuck. Yeah.
No graduating classes.
Yeah. Wow. So this should be the largest graduating class of ever.
Correct.
Since it hasn't happened for so long, and there's so much. I mean, it is like the end of the cycles.
Yeah. And then the backlog of spirits waiting to get here and complete soul family before we graduate.
Ah, right.
That's the other part of it.
Oh.
So back to timeline.
What did you think, guys?
There's so much in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
I said the word Twilight.
Yes. So was that after you had obviously contact with the Warriors of Twilight? When did you first contact them?
My first contact with them was back in early 90s.
Okay, yeah.
94, 95, 96, death tears. During the day the music died. Tremendous shift in power in those days.
So when did the quarantine grid come down? I'm sure you mentioned in the last couple of years the quarantine.
2020. Late 2019, early 2020. But it converted from a quarantine grid to an anti-smuggling operation. And instead of a complete lockdown in which very smart smugglers could get in and out, they brought the fence up so that a lot of the negative souls who wanted to leave here could. And they could take all their junk with them. The doors were open for them to freely emigrate and leave the world.
Mm-hmm.
But it began to start a very powerful anti-smuggling operation to replace the fence. Whatever was leaving, as long as it didn't leave with disastrous, poison-altering chemicals that was going to kill the universe with it, they could leave with whatever trinkets and junk that they wanted. So the many of the high-level negative here's could leave with their trophies of conquest to prove they did what they did here. As long as they weren't taking, highly volatile weapons that could destroy worlds. Okay? They could pretty much leave with whatever was in their houses or whatever they had saved over the many millions of years doing here.
So did that relieve some of the chaos in the astral or the backlog in the astral?
Yes,
okay.
yes, that's what it did, yeah.
So without that, is there still an astral court of immigration? run by the Archons?
The Archons were pretty much done by 2017 when the chemtrails ended.
Okay, so what monitoring is there of who comes in?
There's a new system of immigration that still has to follow the limited way. Yeah, it still has to follow the limited way, but it's not as restrictive of who can come in.
Well, who's running it?
It's a combination of good guys and bad guys. It's people who understand the algorithm that's coming forward.
Okay.
And that there's a bigger plan, and that limited immigration now is still a good thing.
Okay, so it's beneficial then.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it would be spiritual invasion, potentially a spiritual invasion again, and a whole bunch of lower density beings would manifest here before the awakening, which could bog the awakening down, change it, make it not happen again.
Yeah.
Remember I said we flipped the record?
Yeah.
So you said the quarantines ended.
Before this song goes viral around the universe. Okay?
So, Andrew, you said the quarantine ended. So what's stopping these invasion species coming in now?
The Archon Court.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of information packed into that little section.
Yeah. You mentioned 66 timeline dramas. Mm-hmm. Is that related to the 66 planets? Okay.
They're the worst offenders. They were the worst offenders.
That's why they're in the Galactic Ascension machine.
Yep. So why isn't there a 67th? Somebody asked me that. Nobody's ever asked me that one. Tough luck. I'm going to chew on my candies. I like doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why the 67th planet comparatively to the 66? It's like comparing an apple to an elephant in scale in which they've done.
Okay. So the 66th being worse than the 67th.
Way worse, yes.
They had to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, they drew the line somewhere, exactly.
So what's the technology where cloud ships stop ghost timelines? I can't see the connection between cloud ships and timelines.
Cloud ships need timelines to leapfrog through and to hide it.
Yes.
And then to get a microsecond on the real surface time so they can leap into the new record groove we're in.
That's instead a bit like the Lemurian air cities.
Yeah, instead of a record that's on a case somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
People want to know what I'm munching on.
It's backwards. Is it marshmallows? It's backwards, isn't it?
Lemon sours.
Oh, okay.
So lemon sours. I have a blocked salivary gland and a abscess in a cheek and in a tooth, which are separate of each other. It started on Sunday, and I actually have to have sour candy to help unblock the salivary gland, so I don't end up having to have surgery on the salivary gland too.
Yeah, you have reasons to do things on air.
Paula, did the odd introduce the concept of remedy and resolve? No, remedy and resolve's been around since the dawn of history of consciousness. So remedy resolve is a natural way of ending the grudges.
I remember you said in the last show.
The Pope.
The Pope at the start.
Yeah. The record.
So did the Pope die in 2013? Was it Benedict the 16th? Yeah.
So we've had one Pope since then. And is he the last pope? I don't know. It's a new song, new record. We're on B side of the record. I haven't listened to this B side yet.
So just because they phased the Vatican's libraries out of this reality doesn't mean to say it can't be audited by, say,
It
like
was audited.
Creator.
It was audited.
Right.
But the ships that are off world right now, the good guys, they have these transporter technologies where they could just take it.
Oh, so does phasing it out of reality stop them taking it?
Exactly.
Okay. Right. Okay.
And
then
there
what?
are the good guys took a whole bunch of shit off the surface of the world,
Right.
but it wasn't the best. It was the secondary and tertiary lines of defense at best, but the stuff that was covered up by the out of phase technology, they can't get at it.
Because if they did, would it be like on sale to the highest bidder?
Yep.
And then used against Free Earth?
Yep.
Okay. So how can you know if you are the avatar in this reality and not a part that is experiencing this reality without being the actual avatar? That's a question from Rumble.
So first thing first, find a spiritual path, discover your higher self, and ask that question. How will you know? How can I explain that to you if you don't know your own higher self or avatar? The avatar is just a higher frequency manager of the many yous. Okay?
You
I
wouldn't
mean,
be
just a
able to get the
manager.
avatar in.
Well, the
You wouldn't
avatar
be able
has
to
a
get the avatar in your body.
avatars have culture and they socialize with
Yeah.
other avatars. They just don't have cities like we do. They're all energy. Okay?
Because realistically, we've got like other parts of ourselves in animals, cats, dogs, or
Yeah.
whatever. Because we can't get in one body.
Right.
We have to do that. Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else have questions on the last section we just listened to? All right, let's play the video to the end.
Wars.
Okay.
Atlantis and Lemuria. We didn't finish full on Lemuria.
That's right.
Just
That's
real
right.
quick, Lemuria started jumping timelines. Well, the thing is, the last fall of Lemuria is where Lemuria and Atlantis began fighting each other and never realizing they were the same species. Okay?
Wow.
So when Lemuria fell its last time, they tried bringing their population into the future. And that's where the Lemuria-Atlantis war starts, because they literally took a continent outside of time and put it back down on the planet in another part of the timeline, because they can do that.
Wow.
The continents completely shift around. It's not inches a year.
Yeah.
It's instantaneous. I want it here, and the world reality just adjusts around it,
Right.
because they're in charge of the grid, the energy grid, and they can just allow that reality creation to happen. Well, Atlantis didn't like all of a sudden a new continent came in out of nowhere. Well, they're stuck in timeline wars.
Right.
And they began to butt heads politically, socially, spiritually, technologically. And those wars were really limited, and they weren't really wars as much as they were chess butting.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right.
The Lemurian people that came through rapidly became integrated with the Atlantean society at a point where Atlantis was reaching its political peak. Now remember, spiritual invasion brings corruption, low-density people into this political process, into the science and technological process, so it never fully reaches its peak.
Right.
You have a mass influx of high-energy people that allowed it to get to its peak and changed the breeding patterns. That basically the dark guys all of a sudden were 500% behind their goal, because you just brought in 52 million people. Or 52 billion people, or 100 billion people, because that's what they could do.
Oh.
But many of them, as soon as they came in, they interbreeded with the Atlanteans and then just left, went to other worlds. Because Earth is a migrate to and migrate from. It was all about saving the most amount of people from the experience of domination and control of the falls. The societies knew they were going to fall. The political structure knew.
Mm-hmm.
And were they really keeping it a secret? Sort of. The people knew, but you still had to have hope. You still had to have hope that it could be resolved. And then there were too many people that knew and created unity consciousness drives and, teleportation system and time travel devices for the air cities, so the air cities could jump in the future, reseed Earth again with Lemurian high energy people that could counteract the breeding patterns of the negative force incarnations.
Okay. But you said that the air cities don't exist
Now.
now.
They're banned from being in the North Pole.
Okay.
Part of when Atlantis began to rise, fall, 3 rise, 3 falls.
Wow.
Well, it's the same pattern as Lemuria.
Right.
Because you went through another dense part of space, light part of space, dense part of space,
Right.
light part of space.
Right.
As Atlantis reached its peak, its consciousness of its world was really about stopping these wars of invasion.
Mm.
You had all you can stand, you can't stand anymore, you're eating their spinach, and they're going to go out and kick butt and take names. And that's what they did on their first rise. Well, what happens when you kick butt and take names 1,000 years later? You get some mad people coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just brought a mass migration of attackers back at them.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Right.
this puts Atlantis in a tough situation. It had a mass investment of people from Lemuria, and then a mass migration to there because the Lemurian people that were outside of time completed soul codes to other migration groups that had been missing for millions of years.
Mm.
So all of a sudden they're back in this matrix, and a whole big flock of people migrate here.
Mm.
That big flock of people, what we call refugees, worlds that were destroyed by domination and control or used up and said, we don't need this anymore, we're going to go on to the next one. Refugees came here. These refugees were in the worst healing states.
Mm-hmm.
They needed healers. The Lemurians interbred with the Atlanteans to create healers. The Arcturians and the Orions and the Pleiadians came here to be healers because they needed billions of healers.
Wow.
They didn't need tens of thousands, they needed billions.
Ooh.
Okay, and this is what brought the galactic commerce of healers being shared among worlds.
Oh.
So that peak of Atlantis. As Atlantis went through its first destruction, this was truly about reality control on the timeline level. The multidimensional beings were able to bring in a planet-killing asteroid out of nowhere before any unity consciousness could defend it, killing off the technology, causing the destructions of the cities, deaths of billions. Well, there's still millions and billions of people migrating here, so they just picked up the broken pieces and rebuilt the society really fast. But that's what these beings wanted. It got them trapped. And they knew there was another migration, another migration, and another migration, all behind those space timelines apart.
Mm.
So they would plan these destructions coinciding with the arrival of the new migrations.
Ah. And so that explains the various metaphors and stories about the various falls and the water, the destruction by water, fire, blah, blah, blah.
And that destruction is post-traumatic stress on your soul.
Oh, yes.
PTSD on your soul. So when they start mass propaganding the destruction of Atlantis, the destruction, the flood, Noah's flood, blah, 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 it's to make you back into that soul fear that you had because you were here during a destruction, so that you would create that destruction.
Right, right. Wow. Well, we're going to take a short break again, and when we come back, we will pick up where...
Atlantis.
Atlantis, exactly.
I'll get into some of the capital cities and the creation of the Hollow Earth and the Garthan networks.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, because I wanted to ask you about that. All right, stay tuned.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
What did you guys glean from that? And did you see my wave go to the next episode? What I talked about at the very beginning, because I made it go even faster.
Yes.
But I'd pick it up, the next Andrew would pick it up and throw it even faster.
So we needed these refugees, the Lemurian refugees, to complete our soul codes.
Yes. Yes. Remember, the Lemurian refugees were going ahead of a time erasure wave.
Yeah.
And if we had lost them, we would have never had those soul codes.
Yeah. Then we would have been buggered, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Your turn, Dale.
Sorry, I was just
you
reading
read
some of
the
these
chat?
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reading some questions. So there was one about the control rooms, and I was going to ask, where is it? So, what is an update with the control rooms, Andrew, and the relevance to the awakening? Because I can't remember what you said the last
So
update
there
was.
are 19 control rooms that they do not know where they're at. If all 40 control rooms are contained and the DNA cipher lock of a relatively unified surface timeline can activate the Unity consciousness drive and move this planet to anywhere in the universe or the multiverse. That's the key to the control rooms. Now, the control rooms monitor DNA growth and potentiality, and if anything gets access to that, it would make the yellow box look like nothing. Okay? It also
Okay.
understands the ebb and flow of galactic and universal energies and how it affects consciousness in linear and nonlinear space and localities. It's a very advanced piece of founder technology that understands the very fibers and fabrics and sinews of the universal energy exchange system.
So, when you say they're outside of time, do you mean they're not in this world?
No,
Or
they're out of phase, but a whole different form
Okay.
of out of phase technology. You have to be a
Yeah,
very advanced, very, 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 very advanced soul to get past the DNA cipher lock,
okay.
or
But
have
didn't you say that?
the proper DNA, all the DNA codes to unlock it. A room.
Okay. And these control rooms, are they mostly? Because I remember you said a lot of them were ran by the dark guys. Is that still the case, or is there?
So there were 40 control rooms, so that means there's 21 that have been captured. It's more like 9 to the good guys, and 2 to the bad guys. It's 9 to 2, 11 to 4. It moves all the
9 to
time.
10.
Sometimes we share them. Okay, so it's an odd mixture. Okay, a very odd mixture, and you have to understand that sometimes they need to work together to figure shit out, and there are other times that they don't want to work together because they don't want anybody figuring out what's going on. So, what are the control room significance? Whoever has the power can move the planet. What happens if you move the planet? We go to a different record, or we become DVDs instead of a record player.
And so that's obviously what happened before when the planet got moved. The control rooms were obviously that was the reason why.
Yep.
Yeah.
And therefore, that takes away the possibility of an ascension timeline if that were to happen.
Bingo, right.
Laura, you won't get your ascension codes. Ascension. Oh, that words.
All the codes are going to
I wanted my ascension here.
I've earned it. So, what's this galactic commerce of healing? Did that come about as a result of the immigration of Lemurians into Atlantis that needed to heal? And is that still ongoing? Was it formed then?
That's why so many star seeds came here as healers to around the billions of other healers who came from the ancient of history times. To the collective of the greatest healers.
Yeah, because you said we'd need 1 billion healers at this time. Yeah,
yep.
Got an echo.
There's a lot of information packed into that episode.
Is that the first time you'd introduced about the Unity consciousness drive? No, okay. First time I've heard it.
Well, you've heard this episode how many times and didn't hear it before?
Seriously, I've not listened to much to Galactic History, even the beginning. So some of this is like, oh.
Laura's not done her homework.
Oh, does it show?
Can we say that the matter of the Lemurian Atlantis continent was teleported to like non-visible city in the sky? Was it in the No, it was around 16.5 million years ago. 16.5 to 18 million years ago. The main teleportations of Lemurians caught in a bubble and chain ahead of a time erasure war, so they didn't all come in at once. That's why I said in the thing 52 million, 52 billion, 500 billion, trillion. That's how many souls were caught ahead of the time erasure. Because Lemuria did a very good job at trying to save its society by putting them into a distant future. And then constantly leapfrogging them into the next distant future, the next distant future, until they could solidify a timeline so they could get people off world and go get consciousness links to other worlds and then incarnate there.
And was that successful? Have they done that? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It was successful, but not enough. They
Okay.
couldn't get billions and billions, hundreds of billions off. They still had 500 billion beings that needed to move forward in time from the trillions.
So what happened to them?
What happened to who?
The 500 billion who didn't make it.
No, they're the ones that were in the coming to us now.
Oh, okay.
Right. They're the ones who didn't make it off world during the time they appeared in a Lemuria.
Right. Okay. So now they're catching up. They're on catch up now.
They're on catch up now.
Yeah. Okay.
Next question. See, I stumped you, Dale. You're silent.
I was reading a comment in the chat and that stumped me. Not that. I was like, what does that mean? A few comments, I'm like, what do those mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. How does this affect the upcoming solar eclipse? How does what affect it?
I've got a question, but it's off topic a little bit.
Okay.
So it connects to it. So the natives talk about Turtle Island, the return of Turtle Island. It was so moving forward, and if Turtle Island is returned, is that another time traveling thing going on there?
Or Turtle Island reemerges with the new souls of the surface, and we just start living within Turtle Island because Turtle Island never left us. It's just been altered through our perception and state of being.
Yes, that makes sense.
Do you understand this question, Andrew? Is trauma trapped in Indra's net?
No.
Okay.
Can the awakening be categorized as a progression of reclaiming Earth's higher dimensional capacities? No, us lower beings must recapture, regain, relearn, re-understand our higher dimensional capacities and having the unlimited point of view as our main space-time goal as a living, breathing, manifest being with that path of the unlimited point of view, actually making a difference to our friends, family, culture, society, world, nation, and world.
Wow. That's beautiful.
So is the self-mastery, self-healing bring about the remedy and resolve? Yes. Self-healing, self-mastery, all of that is what brings the remedy and resolve through mastery of the self. Yes. Self-healing, self-nurturing, and creates self-mastery. And that self-mastery is beginning the path to the unlimited point of view again, and not the limited point of a traumatic view. Andrew, what were there moments that brought you to tears? Yeah, many times. In the taping and after the taping, I fought back tears quite a few times. Even here in this episode, when I was asked a question, and I said it had to go back to the day the music died, I immediately had emotional reaction to it. Yeah, there are many
And
aspects that I have an emotional response to, simply because of the volume of what really happened and the change that could have been.
I guess it's all in your DNA memories as well.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's all the questions, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
In there.
Well,
Okay.
sorry. I want to remind everybody that our mentorship process is beginning again. Mentorship level 1 and 2 is open for people to come and join us. Excuse me. Go to andrewbartzis.com/shop to look it up. Sign up in the mentorship class. This will be for level 1 and 2. Because I have such a busy schedule, level 3 and 4 will not begin until August or late and mid-August, and will go for 2 months. So if those that are waiting for level 3 and 4, you'll have to wait for later in the year. Once again, this is for new level 1 and level 2 signups. Anybody that wants to repeat level 1 or level 2 can also come and rejoin. The class is going to be Fridays this time, not Saturdays, because of the nature of the busy schedule and the new podcast that we picked up with Paranormal Rangers, making it a challenge of time itself for this no time being to listen. So everybody, we're going to call an end to the episode. Please go on to our website. Give us a like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Anything you do helps greatly. Dale, want to give a way for people to get a hold of you?
So if you'd like a soul audit with myself, I've been offering this for just a week now. Head over to daletobin.com. I've also got a psychic surgery product online available, which is on the website. Thank you again.
Laura?
Yeah, Laura2feathers@gmail.com with the number 2. If you want to know anything at all about the Paranormal Rangers tour, along with the combined healing and the haifu in April in the UK in York, please email me and I'll help you.
All right, everybody, we will be back tomorrow for our Friday night game stream. Come sit with us, chill, enjoy, watch us kill digital things, laugh at Uncle Dave doing stuff, and Joel getting blown up on the bridge. All right, Joel, take us away.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.